November 2023 to November 2024, but they didn't have a door. I don't know what is going on with Tenny Garrigus because we know she is one of the best. Listen, Diddy got $1 million lawyer team, multi-million-dollar, and it shows, okay? Tenny, Brian, Westmoreland, Xavier, right? Even throwing Mark Agnifilio, right? They have a multi-million-dollar team, okay? But Tenny's been off yesterday, and she's been off today. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why, but she hasn't seemed like she is on top of her game. I'm actually just tired. They didn't make Miss Westmoreland do it, right? Anyway,
can't shake the truth.
Tenny, in her cross-examination,
you can't.
she was implying that the reason why Jane might be doing this is because she made a throwaway comment where she said, and you know, you're doing this because of the immunity deal. She said, absolutely. She said, you're doing this for the immunity deal. Absolutely.
She said,
and what happens in the immunity deal? Jane was like, they get to decide whether I'm telling if I lie, then I'm paraphrasing. If I lie, then I go to jail or like whatever, right? And Tenny said, and who gets to decide if you're telling the truth? Jane was like, the court does? Who gets to decide if you're telling the truth? She said, the court? You mean the government? She said, I mean the court. You mean the government gets to decide if you're telling the truth?
What?
Right? It was a throwaway comment, but it was very clear. She was trying to imply, at least the way I heard it, okay? And I remember that moment.
That's crazy.
She was trying to imply that she might be changing her testimony to go along with what the prosecution says, right? To go along with what the prosecution says, because she's trying to get out of jail, she's trying to keep on their good favor, okay? This is what is being implied, all right? And I remember that comment, and I didn't think that it was going to come back, but baby, the prosecutors have been combing through everything. And they said, they literally did a Kanye West, and they was like, gotcha, because they actually got her. Maureen Comey literally jumped up. Hold on.
Dummy.
Okay, so listen. Maureen Comey jumped up, and we'll get into something else. I think I'm not the only one that thought Tenny was off her game.
Not
Kept
off her
looking
game.
over at
The
her.
girl's telling
like,
the
girl,
truth.
if you don't get on your job, right? Diddy, shut up. Because at the end of the day, what you gonna do with rotten zucchini, okay? Anyway, you guys, don't forget, I will be on Spoutable
You didn't
Friday.
say nothing.
There's gonna be a link in the description box. I'm having a town hall where you guys can ask me. It's gonna be kind of like
opened
Twitter
up the door? I
Spaces,
didn't
but
even
better.
hear it.
You
She
guys,
said all
and
of
there's a
that
link.
build up.
You don't have to sign up to listen. If you want to talk, just download the Spoutable app or make an account where I will be letting you guys talk. You guys can talk about questions. You guys can do this. It's going to be a town hall. It's going to be really fun, but you guys can actually pick my brain. It'll be a weekly recap of everything. And you guys can even ask me the stuff you've been seeing in the blogs, the stuff you've been seeing all over all other channels. And I'll give you my opinion. And I'll tell you what I saw and what I heard. Don't forget ABC Live. Don't forget Nightline. Don't forget your girl is keeps popping up every day at Nancy Grace. And we have a few other things going. There's going to be links in the description box. But, you know, thanks to you guys, we are doing things. But I wanted to say a thank you to you guys.
I didn't get anything
I'm
from
also
this. I don't.
going to have a
I didn't
giveaway.
hear anything.
Okay? The town hall is going to be
We're
Friday
at
at, I
10
think,
gold
7 or
nuggets
7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? I think I'm going to have a giveaway, okay? I think I'm going to give away $250 to a person, that the first person in the Spoutable chat that tells me an Easter egg. I'm going to say in one of my lives between now and Friday, yo, this is blah, 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 blah. And the first person to actually tell me that orally, they will be immediately sent $250, okay? So let's get into this, okay? First of all, they're not getting rid of the jury. The jury number 16, we'll talk about that later, but they are not getting into rid of the jury. But maybe they don't have to. Why would they want to? Listen to what is going on, okay? Okay, so anyway, Oh, one thing that I did think was really funny is Judge Aaron put the fear of God on Diddy. When they went to a sidebar, right? the jury was sitting there. You know, I was looking to see what Diddy did. He must got the fear of God put on. Diddy was sitting there with his head down and his hand over his face like this. So nobody could misinterpret him at all of looking at the jury. I don't know why. I just thought that was the funniest thing ever, okay? Anyway, oh, also, the government, you know, I'll get to all this later. Let's get to the
Later?
big mistake. And then I'll get into like
You
the
were supposed
government
to say that.
told us a date they think they're gonna arrest. They told us what the next witnesses are. The prosecution is holding
Wow.
their witnesses and how long their case is gonna
She
take.
literally
close to
did
the
a
trial. I'll tell
lie
y'all about all that
and
later. Let's get into
Oh, yeah, we gotta get
this,
some
right?
food.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, so Maureen Comey jumped up and baby, she was hot. And she's like, Your Honor, if I may. And he was like, go ahead,
Daily
counselor, right?
Report. I got
Oh my God,
250 like on
Najma
Amazon.
Brown said, congratulations,
just put
says,
weight on
thank
me.
you. You're doing an excellent job.
don't
Hold
even
on,
have
I'm
right-
missing. Okay, let me tell the story, then I'll get right to the super chats. But let me just get through the story because we got a lot to talk about, you guys. I think this is it. I think Diddy is really done. And I'm
Say
so
it
glad that
then,
it looks
homie.
like justice is going to be served. I kind of feel bad
I'm
for
about to turn from
Tinny
you.
Garagos. This is if the judge grants the order, but it looks like it is, all right? So Maureen Comey jumped up and she was like, Your Honor, we believe a door has been opened by, Your Honor, this is the way she goes. She always leans to the side. Your Honor, we believe a door, and she's speaking into the microphone, all right? Your Honor, we believe a door has been opened by defense counselors. On cross-examination, they directly questioned the immunity received, and then she quoted, you said, who decides who's telling the truth? Prosecutors? We believe that she was implying that Jane changed her testimony to go along with what the prosecutors were saying to avoid jail time at some point. We believe this opens a door, and we believe that we want things. We believe that we now have a right to bring in her notes. Her notes are literally like her digital diary, right? And now, here's the thing. She said, we want to bring in all notes that Jane had before November 2024. And I said, oh, right? Now, here's the thing. At that time, Tinny Garagos was still at the podium where they questioned the witness. The witness and the jury had gone. Okay, so this is the thing. She was still at the thing. She started like rubbing her hands just a little bit and twitching, which is weird because
Rubbing her hands and twitching.
because Tinny Garagos is usually so composed. She was twitching, she was rubbing her hands.
Did
and
you
I said,
did
you
you
know
come
what?
in here
I
slapping
think
lanes
she
for
actually
change?
made a
It's
mistake.
6'10".
Okay, and then I was
Yeah,
like, yo,
I'm
I think
not
this is
there.
actually really, really big, right? Again, I literally was like, yo, they just made a major mistake because Tinny was like at the thing, just looking. They didn't want
Yeah,
those
character
notes admitted.
selection.
And yo, it seems like Jane was talking mad-ish in those notes, okay? Now, she said that, so then the defense jumps
here.
up, right? And he was like, Your Honor, in November 2024, she was aware of the settlement, right? Jane was aware of the settlement that Cassie had gotten, right? And the government investigation actually began at that point of November 2024, right? And they said that, and there was a government immunity order. So why do they get to admit new notes? Because they can admit anything before 2023, right? However, Maureen Comey was like, Your Honor, they are literally trying to say that a witness is only saying this because she had a motive that the government gave her immunity in November of 2024. However, and you're saying you're parroting what the government said. Your Honor, however, if we can show these notes from the November 2023 to November 2024, we believe 100% that it will show that it's impossible you're parroting what the government wants you to say because you were saying all these things and more before you knew about the federal investigation, before you knew about what the government wanted. You were 100% doing that. So what's going on, Your Honor? Why would that happen? Again, right? Listen, so then they were like, the defense was like, Your Honor, any additional statements they can rebut on, listen, Any additional statements they can rebut on redirect. There's no way to bring in these notes from 2020, from 2023 to 2024, okay? And get this, I know Jane was talking mad crap. Why is there so many police officers around? That's certainly odd. Oh, more protests. Okay, right? Anyway, I was like, who's swatting me right now? Anyway, right?
I gotta get off here, y'all.
Teeny
I am going to say good night.
Nervous. Maureen called me, hit her with the, Your Honor, we want E231 in OK
listening? Damn, I hit 12.
We want it all admitted, right? Right? The defense jumps up. Your Honor, this is preposterous. You don't need this. It's extraneous. It's even 403. It has no merit. Maureen hit them with the what? She was like, what? She was going in on it. She was like, Your Honor, this is 100% relevant. They were still in a relationship. They were still in the whole storm. The conduct was still in question since they were still in the heartland of this relationship, okay? The probative value weighs heavy. She said, Your Honor, if there was no relationship anymore, and she's just talking trash into her voice notes, maybe that's something that shouldn't be brought up. But she was deep in the relationship, still in the heartland. So you cannot, so these are her thoughts and recollections as recorded to her, how she felt in the relationship. Again, everybody's getting nervous. Shapiro's leaned over to Brian. Shapiro's leaned over to Brian Still. Diddy is looking at Tinny. Tinny is just fidgeting at the podium. It was not good. You never want to open the door. And they 100% opened the door, right? Get this. She said especially because there is no record that Jane was trying to paper the file. Paper the file, I guess it's lawyer slang for, you're literally trying to, after you know lawsuits happening, you try to get evidence after the fact and paper the file, right? Like, all of a sudden, and you start taking notes, and they were so many, but prior to $1 billion lawsuit, you never made any complaints, right? She said there's no record that she was trying to paper the file. There was no basis at all for them to even imply that prosecution was making her say anything, right? So anyway, Mark Agnifilio gets up, and that's when I said, oh, they worried. He was like, yeah, Anna, sorry, I didn't mean to double team, because, you know, it was so much that Maureen Comey was on the ones and twos, getting it, Your Honor, Your Honor, Your Honor. And like they were literally popping up the defense like whack-a-moles because they wanted to speak. They all had something. They were super worried, right? And so Mark Agnifilio told her, like, Your Honor, I didn't mean to make it seem like it was a double team because I was standing up. And I said, Mark, is double team the words you should really be using in this type of trial? I'm just saying, choose your words better, because the visual with that man sitting next to you, yeah, we already got the visual of Shaq, Kobe, and who did they say? I know he kept LeBron's name out of this, right? But I'm sure it's like, do you really want that visual and double team? We already got Shaq, Kobe, and Michael Jordan. We don't need to think about any more double teaming or anything in this case, right? Anyway, she said that. Hold on, you guys. So she said that. I'm going to get to the super chats. I'm going to get into. I'm going to get into the super chats in a second, okay? Right? She's like, so Matt Curtin totally comes up and tries to do his little voodoo. He's like, Your Honor, right? The government is trying to say that she's basically a co-conspirator, and that's why this should be admitted. But the truth is, Your Honor, she never was. She didn't think she was going to be prosecuted. Not under the Mann Act, not for the drug testimony, not for anything. So then Judge Aaron literally jumps in and he was like, okay, because this is what he does. He asks questions, like he tests their argument and says like the devil's advocate thing. He said, okay, well, hold on, counselor. Because what do you mean that she never thought she would be prosecuted? Seriously, why would they offer her immunity? There's stuff under the Mann Act, which is the RICO Act of prostitution, and also the drug testimony that she literally was a drug mule. So why would you think that Jane doesn't think that she's actually going to be prosecuted? Like it's a real thing. If I was Jane, I would think so, right? Now I'm paraphrasing that at the end, but he did say, I'm not sure she was never in any danger of being prosecuted, right? And listen, so she said, listen, also I wrote down, why would the government, and then he tried to make it seem like the government was suggesting that their own witness couldn't be trusted. And I was like, why would the government suggest that to their own witness that they can't be trusted and that they were being paid off? It makes no sense, right? Again, Judge Aaron jumped in and said, if what you're saying is true, that all this is just a misinterpretation and you guys would never do this and that, why did you even bring it up about the immunity? And why did you ever even make a grandstand about who decides whether you're telling the truth? And she's like, the court? No, who decides whether you're telling the truth? The court? No, the government. The government decides on whether or not you're telling the truth and whether or not you're going to jail. Again, it was clear what they were suggesting. And they thought they got that one off, but maybe they went too far. Anyway, right? Listen, Mark Agatha, Yana, this is just a simple agreement that everybody goes through. And the government expresses itself the way it wants, but it's perfectly normal in trial that people would also suggest that. And he starts bringing up case law, and I'm like, nah. They got you, right? Maureen Comey jumps up again. And they are double teaming, and she is still what, right? She literally jumps up and she was like, Your Honor, and every time she starts doing that little gangster lean to the side, speaking into the microphone, you know she is about to get crunk. That's her thing. Whatever she knows, like, I got them. She gets a little, right? So she was like, she's like, Your Honor, and she said it with so much force. She's like, Your Honor, Mr. Agnifilio has just given up the game. I said, oh, you tell me, girl, how? Mr. Agnifilio has just given up the game. This is exactly what he had just told us, what they sought to do with that testimony. They sought to include this testimony to imply that Jane changed her testimony in order to be lockstep in what the government does, what the government wanted to testify to, in order to, see, learn, in order to, right, make sure that, I know you know where I'm going, class, in order to make sure that she avoids all jail time and she avoids all consequences, and maybe she even gets a civil trial and
bunch of
profits
people
from
getting
this,
that.
okay?
Telling
She
on her.
changed her testimony to be in
I'm
line
not
with what
changing
the government
testimony,
said.
though.
Your
Nobody
Honor,
did
that is why we 100% need those messages from November 2023 to November 2024, so we can show you that she is not changing her testimony. Hey, what's up, darling? How you doing? Hold on, let me say hi to my favorite. See you guys.
She
see
stopped
you
in the middle.
See, yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you in the pen. Yeah.
I know. I'm in the pen, staying out of trouble. I'm gonna call you tonight.
Okay, sounds
All right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
She don't have to. So she got a lot left on
Yes.
this live, and I think
Exactly.
she's done saying
Okay, no problem. I'll
what
catch
she
up
said
with
she
you.
was
Okay.
gonna say.
Marie, ABC. Shout out to
like
the
this
best makeup
stuff.
artist in the world, Marie, from ABC. She got me right. Thank you so much. So listen, and a happy birthday to Marie too. Anyway, right? She literally said, that was another commercial break. Okay, hold on. So these are my coworkers. I have to
Keep
talk
going
to them.
now. Now,
Okay,
you
so
did
listen.
that.
So she was like, he's given up the game. And what he is trying to imply
So,
is that she changed.
the trial is not
These
televised.
are the
I'm
notes
getting
they've been trying to
tired.
get in. Because this is what
I'ma
was
say goodnight.
she saw and observed for that whole year while he was still acting a fool. And we need those notes to prove that we didn't tell her to say a M at the mother effing thing. She was the one that put this on the plate. She was the one that did this. She was the one. And
All right, I'm
said,
getting sleepy again, so I'm gonna
Got
call
him.
it.
Got him. When I say
And
Jordan was
come back
losing their
later
mind,
on.
now here's the thing. Judge
Yeah, of
Aaron
course.
did
But thanks
say,
for your help.
okay,
Yeah,
I'm
no
gonna have
worries,
to
no
take a
worries.
look at the transcript and I'll decide on this tomorrow. Baby, they got them. Tina Garagos looks like she opened the door to Diddy's worst nightmare. Whatever, and I mean whatever, is in those notes is so damning It's so
I'm
damaging.
getting
It's so
sleepy
bad
again. Whoa,
for Diddy.
whoa.
But
Look
they
how
are
fast
fighting
they are.
tooth and
Whoa.
nail to keep them out.
That's
And
the green
had they
zone
not
right here.
just did that last
This
throwaway
guy
thing,
really about to tell you stuff.
suggesting that the government was literally threatening jail time
She
in
gonna
order to
repeat
make
that for an
people
hour? 'Cause
paint
that
him as a
thing-
monster, it never would have happened.
That video
Baby,
was an hour or something.
oh, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Won't he do it? God, who thought? God did. He put his finger on the scale and said, oh no, oh no, oh no. But you guys, there was so much more stuff that happened in the court too. Hold on really quick. Let me just take a commercial break and read these super chats. It's only gonna take
Yeah,
a
I'm gonna
second.
change
And then
that
we
too.
are going to get right back into this mess, okay?
don't think
Miss
she
Allison,
has
I'm so
anything else
proud of
to
you.
say.
I love learning so much. All mistrial means is he stays in jail and then they bring it up all over again. You guys, again, say what you want. But the government is now proving what I've been screaming off of the rooftops for the last 3 or 4 weeks. They got them. They got them. They got them. Anyway, right? Juror number 6. So the defense wants juror number 6 to stay. The prosecution wants him gone.
All right, this feels almost
funny,
illegal to know, but our windows were so old and just desperately needed to be replaced. So I called a few contractors.
Breaking news tonight.
They say she's
Disgusting
drunk.
Diddy's victim cries between sobs on the stand. I am not a star. I am not an animal. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories.
It's not funny,
Thank
but
you
I
for being with
swear.
us.
The way some of them talk about it.
In the last hours, the trial judge shoots down the music mogul's most recent request for a mistrial. Don't you know he's having a Diddy fit right now over that?
Diddy fit.
Heartbreaking testimony pours from the witness stand as Jane, not her
Diddy
real
fit.
name, declares, I am not an animal. After heartbreaking testimony of beatings, about doors being broken down, draggings, druggings, marathon sessions lasting up to 18 hours and longer, where she actually felt she was nothing more than an animal. Straight out to the Monaghan Federal Courthouse, standing by special guest Tisa Tells, investigator, host of Tisa Tells on YouTube. Tisa, thank you for being with
She's
us.
on- this
you know,
is the
the
chick
way
we
you
were just looking at.
described this witness on the stand as a baby bunny getting tortured has really stuck in my head. What happened
Baby
today?
bunny.
Today, what happened was there was shock. We knew that the defense was coming in for the cross, okay? However, there was a little commotion before then. As you mentioned, the motion for mistrial was denied. However, there is an
All right,
issue
guys.
with
Good night.
juror number 6, okay? The defense
Thanks
let
for
that
watching.
slip out when they were busy arguing with the judge. The prosecution wants juror number
Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing, slapping lanes for change. And see you guys the next time. I'm gonna check and see if somebody's out there doing the document thing. Let's see. Rondo key. I'm trying to find somebody. Can't seem to. What's the name of that? Yeah, what's the name of the place I was just at? What academy? Oh, I cannot forget. Yeah, the live streaming. They want it to be that way. Alright, we're just gonna be saying goodnight. I could just toss it somewhere. Wait a minute. I'm just gonna send it to somebody. Someone's about to get a gift. Gift is you guys. It's gonna be Tay Nicole. Oh, she got 39 people. Following this person. Yeah. Somebody doesn't have a lot. Here we go. NYC May Kappa. Let's check him out. Following them. There you go. Alright, guys. Looks like I am going to get some rest. And I'll be back soon. Hope to see ya.